Thank you everybody for joining me here today. My name is Gabriel Brent and we are going to do another session of the App Swing Pub. So just so everybody's on the same page, we have a weekly, daily, and 60-minute time frame here. What we are looking to do in this Swing Pub is we're looking at last week's forecast and this week's, basically last week's forecast to see how it has played out. And then this week's forecast, we are looking to predict out what the future price action is going to look like in all the different forex pairs that we like to watch, as well as we are going to start doing the S&P 500 this week, the futures, or the E-mini S&P 500 as it were. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. First on the AC, and I like to just point out that I like to abbreviate all the forex pairs with the first letter of the first currency pair and then the second first letter of the second pair there. Okay, so the other thing is I assume that everybody here is familiar with the Apazone's trend follow system. If you are not aware of the Apazone's trend follow system, then this might not make sense in this multiple time frame analysis. May not be as clear as what we would like it to be. So if you need a fresher course in how to read the bars and where we're coming from in our trend follow approach, please check out the Apazone's website. So now that we have the shameless plug done, let's go ahead and get started here. On the AC market, we can see that prices bounce down low over here on the weekly time frame, and we're moving up here to the weekly supply levels. Okay, I was almost going to call them resistance, but they're not resistance because, well, this is on the weekly chart, so these are big levels. So we're looking for price to continue on up here. Okay, and we just made a new high, you know, it just a little bit. Last week we had that nice little inside candle here, so we have a new high on the week. Looks like we're going to be proceeding to the upwards direction. Okay, so we're going to be looking for that big move to work out overall. Okay, now here on our daily chart, which I consider our context chart, as we look at the different levels here, and actually let me point that out to everybody. This is the big weekly level up here, and you can see the two different fractal time frames, or the fractal daily resistance levels up there. Okay, so you can kind of see how we've been and why we've been having the chop that we've had as of late, because we've been stuck in between that daily level and that daily level. We have a nice little trend line drawn from to the upside, and again the big weekly demand level is down here somewhere. Okay, but it looks like we're just making this move from low to high, you know, so keep things simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Buy low, sell high, right? But you got to know where low and high is in order for all this to work, so that's why we use the multiple time frame fractal. Okay, so I'm going to be looking for that to continue to play out. You can see the nice little retracement here that we're getting here on the daily, as we've just formed in a new little support level right here. So I think that is very noteworthy to be considering. So if we can jump on before this new high here that was put in place yesterday, I think that's pretty cool. Okay, but don't just jump on just because you want to be on board. I think it's important that we jump on in a very systematic way. All right, and we talk about all that stuff in the Apazone's community. Moving right along here on the AC, actually I guess both of those are AC markets. So on the Aussie Swiss, we have a big weekly range going on here, is the way that I currently see it. Okay, and again, I'm looking for this market to move to the upside. All right, I'm looking for us to retest resistance, or excuse me, supply up here. Okay, so again, this is low and this is high. On the daily, it says we're up and ranging, and as we look at this particular daily chart, we're still filling the range of the big British announcement, you know, and still a lot of uncertainty, but it looks like it's going to complete the overall price movement is the way I see it. So I'm looking long on this particular instrument just to complete that move. So we're going to be up and, well, right now it says we're up and rangy. We just made a new high here, and I think we're going to continue in the upwards direction, okay? So I think that's very interesting, but we are in a range, all right? So don't kid yourself, we're in a big range here. So, but one person's range is another person's trend, as they say. Looking at the weekly on the AJ market, you can see that we have we've been coming down here, and we're sitting right now in a nice little demand area. We've had a nice little inside bar on the previous week, and we've just barely wicked above the inside candle there. Okay, so this could be some confirmation to the upside of price wanting to exit out of this zone, but right now I feel like that is really too early to say that for sure. Okay, on the daily, things still look to the downside, so I'm just going to go with what the elite says, and I'm just going to say down and trending. Okay, if you're looking to the upside on this one, you're looking at a counter trend trade. It's not always a bad thing to look for a counter trend trade, but most of the time the trend is going to be your friend. Okay, so I'm still going to say down until the market tells me that it's not going to go down any further, and right now it's too early to say that. We're retesting the lows. Yeah, we made a slightly new high here this week compared to that inside bar that we're looking at on the weekly. It's still really, it's a lot of inside candles compared to the BritX thing. You know, it's just absolutely still a lot of uncertainty, I would say, in the marketplace. Okay, so we just want to be aware of that. And is this going to be the low on this market? I can't tell you that either. I mean, yes, there is a weekly level there, but if you pay attention to zone theory, then you know that this yellow's, or you know what this yellow zone means, and it means that our trend could still be continuing to the downside. So it's really preemptive to try to take this thing to the long side right now. Okay, so let's just wait patiently until price confirms what we think is true. Moving over to the AU, or Aussie dollar market, you can see that we have a couple different trend lines drawn in here. Again, we are looking for a move to the upside of this big weekly area. We have made a new low down here. Then we saw the retest, and it stopped short of the low area in my mind. Okay, so now we're looking to see what this area of consolidation and what this big weekly level up here is going to look like. So we're really looking for price to continue to the upside on this one. And as we come over here to the daily, you can see that the daily trend is up. Again, we are inside the BritX candle. Okay, so nothing new there, but just realize that we're inside that candle. I'm still looking to the up, all right, but time will tell to see if we can't get above this or not. So again, we're going to say up to the weekly level, but it could be some time before we get above this high here, just based upon still there's a lot of indecision in the marketplace in general on a lot of these forex pairs. Moving over to the Euro Pound, or the EG markets. You can see that BritX has caused us to make new highs on this one. Nice reload on a couple different yellow zones here in the direction to the upside. There's a good area to join the trend to the upside on the daily. So we could be waiting for the check mark trade, like so. Remember, buying and selling pullbacks in the direction of trend. That's what I love to do. The other thing to also note about this is on the weekly, we have beaten the weekly zone. All right, we've beaten that yellow weekly level. And because we've beaten the yellow weekly zone, we're no longer going to look for that area to act as resistance, but we're looking for it to flip-flop to support. And then we have the brown zone above that. Okay, so we're going to be looking for that, and for price to bounce off of the brown level. Okay, which may give us the nice little retracement to this blue zone that we have here on the daily and help us get into the trend move to the upside. All right, moving over to the euro dollar, or the EU. It's kind of funny how that works out there. This thing has been selling off, coming out of the weekly supply level, looking for the weekly supply level down here. Okay. The long pull that we've had on this market since the BritX, I think things are going to change with it, to be quite honest with you. So I'm going to cancel that prediction out there for right now. We've been in this range for a long, long time. How long? How old is this zone right here? Since 3/13/2015. Okay, so we've been in the range for over a year, and it looks like we're going to stay in the range for some time to come. Okay, so what I would say looking at this right now is I'm going to be looking for this weekly candle to come down here and to engulf this green inside candle, and possibly to even touch down here on our brown or our chocolate zone. Okay, so over here on the daily time frame, again, that sentiment is echoed in the down and trendy type of idea. The BritX candle is absolutely massive. Okay, so I don't really like how big that candle is right there. I just think it's just a little, well, excuse me, I'm going to have to take that back there. We actually have two levels in here. Okay, we have a resistance level that I feel should probably be closer to this size, and then we have the support level right there. So I'm looking for support to break in the direction of trend, and possibly for us to form a new low on this market in the coming week. Okay, so again, in the direction of the overall trend here. If we are looking for new lows on this market, then I'm still going to be looking for the pullback to join the trend to the downside. So we have to decide what level we're going to use for that pullback area. Okay, are we going to wait for the new low and for price to hit the weekly level, then up, and then jump on to the downside? Or maybe we wait and say, well, I don't know that price is going to do that per se, and say maybe price will come up here first, touch the zone, and then we can get a bounce out of there. I think one of those two possibilities is more than likely to happen. The other possibility is that this area right in here could turn into a level. Okay, so I'm still kind of a wait and see on this market right now, just because, let's face it, we're still inside of that big, huge candle with no for sure signs of direction, but the overall trend idea of this market is down. Okay, so I think it's best that we look to play to the downside and wait for the really, really amazing opportunity where you're selling high and you're buying back low. Okay, don't try to just jump on board for the sake of being on board on this one, because the trend is not strong on this one at all. The trend is very weak. We're in the big weekly range that we've been in for over a year. Wait on this one and wait for it to give us that confirmation. That's what I would really propose to you as the best course of action on this particular market. Moving over to the pound Aussie. As you can see, we have a brand new weekly low, and we have our nice little money bounce zone has gotten taken out. Okay, so we got the initial bounce over here on it, and now price has slashed through a weekly level on this thing. So the trend is definitely looks like it's going to rip and roar. If we look at the levels below us, you can see the next weekly level right there. Okay, so we're going to be looking for the trend to continue to the downside on this one. You can see the big news announcement, and the big British news announcement caused this big red candle, but yet this thing is really trending here. Okay, like we formed a new low over the past week, and it's just continued to go, and we've just beaten the weekly level. Okay, so on this one, I'm looking for the pullback trade yet again. Okay, but we're going to go and do this to the downside here on this one. So I would love to see a pullback to this nice fresh aqua zone to get the money bounce trade off of this, and to rock and to roll it to the downside into new weekly weekly demand levels. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for on the GA market. Looking at the GC market, okay, the pound CAD is moving to the downside, and we're in fresh weekly level right here. Okay, so this is a fresh weekly level. If we double click on our little zone here, we can see that this goes all the way back to 2013. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a 3-year level right here. All right, now as we look at our context chart, you can see that well, the trend is down and trending. Okay, so as we're hitting into a fresh and new weekly level, is this going to be the turnaround? You know, I don't know. I have no idea. But what I do know is that the overall movement is down and trending, and before any and all level that I consider as a counter trend or a brand new trend reversal, I'm going to look for the trend follow to happen first. Okay, so I'm going to look for the check mark trade to work out of this level. Okay, and even if it doesn't, if I'm selling up here and buying back down here, I should at least get a T1 and possibly even a T2 if we can do something close to a double bottom here. Okay, so that would be like maybe a T1 would be down there, T2 could be down here. Let's just say that that's the area that it bounced off of. So that's still a really good amount to a trend follow trade. Okay, now what if this is the bottom down here? Well, that's okay too. I don't mind. I want to let the market be correct more so than myself. The market can do anything that it wants to do. Now let's just say that it does go to the upside and we get something like this. All right, so if that happens, I'm still fine by placing the short out of this area here. I can get a T1 and a T2 to the downside, but if it comes back up, you know what, no harm, no foul, because I've already gotten 2 major targets and I'm sitting pretty. As soon as I get my first target, that's awesome. Okay, so if it does do that, that's okay too. And if it does do this, then I can actually look to get on board somewhere in this type of fashion. Okay, I don't want to try to pick the tops or the bottoms. I'm just looking for confirmation of those major pivot points here on the daily chart. Okay, so like that would be roughly the area that I would be getting on this thing if this thing were to turn around right here. Okay, and I would take it with the trend first and foremost before looking for the counter. But then after maybe price broke this level and came back to retest something like this, then I could get on to the long side and take it on up to the previous highs, okay, or up to this level up there, you know. So those are the scenarios, and obviously this is That's a lot of movement here predicted out, okay? But first and foremost, the trend is to the downside. And I'm going to be playing that first and foremost before I'm going to be looking for the counter trend or the reversal out of the weekly level. Yes, the reversal out of the weekly level could work nicely, but I don't know that it's going to work for sure. So let's just play with the trend as long as the trend is going. Okay, let the trend be your friend, and then when it reverses, we can jump on board. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to everybody. Moving over to the GJ market, the pound yen. Busted through a weekly level, which is interesting, and now we're hitting another weekly level just below it. Okay, so there is some good support down here. There's levels on top of levels down here, and they're all really close to one another. All right, so we do know that this is going to be some pretty good demand levels to be watching for. Okay, and moving over to the daily charts, okay, you can see this massively big level right here. Like that's just too big, you know. I'm just going to draw that zone as such just because I like it that size, and that means that I don't even see any support levels here off of the daily time frame. And if we come back here to the weekly time frame, I'm just kind of curious to see how old this level is. It's actually from 2012, okay? So we're looking at a 4-year-old level here. And I'm not going to push this daily chart back 4 years to get the levels. Actually, yes, I am. So let's do that. Okay, so as I add more days to this chart and going back those 4 years here, you can see that we have a couple levels down here on the daily time frame, and they coincide with the very bottom of the weekly levels down here, and kind of the level on top of level idea here. All right, so we still have some room to slide in this market, so I'm just going to be looking for price to continue in the downtrend, as the Elite software says, until we hit those areas here. All right, now I think that there will probably be a recoil back up to retest this consolidation here. I don't see any levels or anything right in this area, but I'm going to draw in a level just because I feel like this could be something interesting right in here. Okay, and for the possible retests right there. And then I would be looking to do another bounce to the downside here. So we'll see how far ahead of schedule this particular outlook is. All right, but that's what I would be looking for here over the next week, is continuation to the downside, and then a bounce off of this level right here that I drew in manually, and then continuation to the down. Moving over to the pound Kiwi, or pound New Zealand dollar, we can see that we have a new low here on the weekly chart. We've busted through a fresh weekly level as well, just like we did on the previous pound yen market. And this level is from 2013, okay, from May 2013. So again, it's pretty old here, and you can see how we're bouncing into this level, okay? So with the weekly level and us bouncing into it as such, we could see a retest to this previous level that we just like slashed right through, is my feeling, and then continuation to the downside. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. So on the daily time frame, I'm going to see if there's not a level right in, there it is. Okay, so as we slash through the weekly level, you can see that on the daily time frame we formed a fractal, which old demand is now becoming resistance, okay, or becoming supply, if you will. All right, so I'm looking for price to jump up there and to bounce off of this level and then continue to the downside. All right, so looking for that money bounce trade off of this zone here. All right, So we're going to see if there's a reaction off of there. And again, you know, what if this is the low of the market? Well, that's possible, but if it stops down here and then goes up, it still gives me the ability to get a target here as it's going down. Then I would get stopped out of the position, and then I can get back in over here somewhere, okay? Just like what we were talking about a few markets ago, all right? If this is the bottom, which I have no reason to expect that this is a bottom. The trend trumps even the levels, okay? You can see how price slashed right through a weekly level here. Didn't give it any real thought about it. It just kept on driving through and driving through and driving through and driving through, okay? Slow and steady, but it's gotten all the way through it. So now we're waiting for a retest of that level because it didn't respect it on the way down. I'm really looking for it to act as a flip-flop zone here. Moving right along, I'm going to be looking here at the NU market, or the Kiwi dollar. And as we see this market, we've been watching this for quite some time, and we've gotten a new high on this market, and I've been looking for a target of all the way up here for probably a few months now, and was looking for this to happen on the New Zealand dollar as well as the Euro dollar. I was looking for this thing to kind of work out here, but I think the New Zealand dollar, it's actually going to work, but on the Euro dollar, obviously it went back into the range, okay, and we didn't see the nice breakthrough that we did on this particular market. So moving over to the daily. As we look at the daily chart, you can see that we've had a nice little retest over here, and we've moved to the upside. Again, from the BritX candle, you can see where the top and the bottom was. We found our support down here in, well, what's now a blue zone. Last week it was aqua, but since then it's turned to this nice blue color. So there's our money bounce, and now we're pushing to the upside yet again, okay? Over the past couple days, we got a little bit of a retracement here, but that's fine. And this thing is actually looking very much to the long side here. So I'm really excited about the long position on this particular market, and I think it's going to be a good one. I'm going to mark out the weekly level just so everybody can see where the weekly level is, and so that we have it displayed on our daily time frame, okay? So those are the two daily zones inside the weekly time frame, and that's really what I'm looking at for this move, okay? So I'm looking for a pretty big move that, yeah, it might take 3 or 4 weeks, maybe even a couple months to do it, but that's what I'm looking for to have happen on this market, and just for the trend is up and for it to continue on in this way. Moving over to the UC market, or the dollar CAD, you can see that on the weekly chart we are in the middle of the range, okay, and it really looks like we're starting to coil quite a bit here, all right? So we're getting to wedge right here in the middle, and as I look at it on the daily time frame, according to this, the Elite software is saying that it's up and rangy, and I completely agree with that rangy sentiment, okay? As you can see for yourself, like I drew that off the weekly time frame, but on the daily it looks even more so like it's in this nice little wedge, okay? Now, if we are up, all right, I would like to see some type of bounce off of this level and for us to really pop to the upside here, all right? Now, personally speaking, I don't know that we are up just yet, you know? Yeah, it's given us some bounces off of this purple zone, all right? But we haven't really confirmed that we're up yet. So if we're going to be up what I would like to see happen is a bounce off of the top here, okay? And basically for some type of level to form in this area, and then I would be a buyer right here, okay? Right now, as it's ranging in between these two multiply hit zones, it doesn't make me very excited about doing anything, okay? So I'm going to take off some of these drawings just so that it's a little bit more obvious, but we're just going to say the upside, I'm looking for a play outside of this area, or maybe a retest into this area, you know, and then we're going from there. But is that going to happen? You know, I don't know. And this is where it really is a future predicting type of thing, but we need to wait. And I think the important thing to do on this market right now is to wait, okay, because we're in a wedge, okay? If we look over here on the weekly time frame, man, it would be nice if we could bounce down and hit this yellow level down here, okay? That would be a fantastic to hit that, okay? Of course, to the upside, I mean, you have an aqua level, but it's about equal distance from where we are right now, where price is right now, okay? So I really wanted to break outside the wedge before I do either one of the following, okay? So maybe another retest like this, and then to the downside, okay? So on either of those cases, we're waiting for a breakout of this wedge and then to do something, okay? But right now, it's just time to wait. Moving over to the UJ market, or the dollar-yen market. You can see that we have been going to the downside for a long time on this market, and we are coming up to some demand here, all right? But it still has a little ways to fall. Last week we saw a nice little pullback, but this week it looks like we could continue on in that move to the downside. And over here on the daily time frame, you can see a little bit more resolution as to why it did what it did and what we're looking at here. So the BRIDX candle hit demand, it popped up, it almost touched this level right up above us, you know, stopped just shy of it, just ever so slightly. I'm just going to merge these two levels together just because I can, and I think that's really what is going on here. All right, and now we're going to retest that wick, and I'm really looking for it to break it and to break into that weekly level. So I think this thing has done a nice little money bounce off of previous area of resistance, if you will, okay, and now we're going to see a new low coming this week.